Okay, folks, strap in. Today, we're going deep on a guy who really needs no introduction, right? Donald J. Trump.
I mean, you really can't escape him, can you?
And look, let's be real. This is going to be a little, tricky.
A bit of a minefield.
That's it. So, are you ready to unpack a life that, let's be honest, has been anything but, ordinary?
I think that's putting it mildly. You know what's fascinating to me is Trump's story isn't your typical rags to riches thing.
Right, right.
He didn't start from scratch, inherited wealth, a whole real estate empire right off the bat.
Like a massive head start.
Huge. It doesn't mean he didn't build on it, of course, but you got to acknowledge that starting point, right? It's crucial.
It really flips the script on that whole self-made man image, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What do our sources say about how, I don't know, maybe how that privilege, that starting line shaped his worldview?
Oh, absolutely. How he did business, took risks, all of that. Some sources suggest it gave him, well, a ton of confidence.
Makes sense.
Like he was destined for success. Others point to his education, economics degree from, get this, the University of Pennsylvania.
Ivy League.
Prep for the business world, right?
And then boom, right into the family business, renames it the Trump Organization,
Mhm.
branding front and center.
Oh, from the get-go.
Yeah.
And that's telling, isn't it? That awareness of image, marketing, the whole nine yards.
Totally.
Yes.
But we can't just skip over the 90s.
Oh, boy.
Bankruptcies, plural.
Yeah, and interpreted, well, every which way you can imagine.
Some people see those as genius moves, right?
Shrewd tactics, get rid of debt, come out on top. Others, total mismanagement, reckless risks.
So what do our sources say about how that all went down?
Right, the nitty gritty of those financial, I don't know, maneuvers.
Some financial analysts, they'll tell you strategic moves,
Yeah.
minimize losses, keep the brand shiny.
Damage control.
Yeah, but then you have others who see it as, a pattern. Reckless decisions could have been way worse.
So, two sides to that coin for sure. And then what does he do? Pivots. Focuses on, get this, licensing his name, buildings, products, stakes.
The Apprentice hits TV.
Oh, yeah.
Cements the image, the successful businessman.
It's almost like he knew, right? Building this persona before even thinking about politics.
Brilliant, even if it wasn't on purpose, right?
He creates a brand that goes way beyond, I don't know, buildings or whatever. He creates a persona. And that media savvy, huge for his political success.
Like laying the groundwork without even knowing it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that leap. Businessman to, boom, presidential candidate in 2015.
What a curveball.
What made that even possible?
Well, you got to look at the political scene back then. Lots of economic anxiety, right? People were distrustful of those, well, the usual politicians. And social media,
Oh yeah, that was taking off.
big time. Echo chambers, anger, misinformation.
The perfect storm.
It's like Trump stepped right into this void. Drain the swamp, make America great again.
Those slogans, man. And he wins in 2016. Shocked a lot of people.
Shocked. And those protests afterward, they weren't just about him, were they?
No way.
They showed just how divided the country already was.
Deep cracks, right?
And Trump, he tapped into something, a frustration. And his way of talking, what some call Trumpism, changed how we talk about politics.
So let's dive into that. Trumpism. What's at its core? How is it different from, I don't know, the usual conservative stuff?
Think populism, nationalism,
Mhm.
protect American jobs, strong borders, no more globalism. And there's this, well, a sense of grievance, nostalgia.
For a simpler time, maybe?
Yeah, appealing to folks who feel left behind by, all the changes. And it's different from traditional conservatism because it's willing to, well, to challenge the system itself.
Democracy, even.
Yeah, the rules, the norms, the institutions.
And those challenges, they led to some big changes in his first term. Muslim travel ban, border wall, the family separation policy.
Oh, that was, well, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Separating kids from their families at the border.
Yeah. And then deregulating environmental protections, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, all those conservative judges on the Supreme Court.
Reshaping the courts for a generation.
And a trade war with China. A lot happened.
You're not kidding. And some of it, like the tax cuts, deregulation, pretty standard Republican stuff. But the travel ban, the family separation, that was radical.
Caused a lot of controversy.
Huge backlash, legal challenges. So, how do you think all this changed the Republican Party?
From what I've read, it feels like they moved away from that traditional conservatism toward something more, more Trump. Like he changed what it means to be a Republican.
And that's the big question, right? Did he bring in new voters? Or did he push away the moderates, the independents?
Yeah, the long-term effects, who knows?
Time will tell.
And then there's foreign policy. Pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, the Iran nuclear deal, tariffs, challenging our allies in NATO. Was he being isolationist or trying to, flex American muscle?
It's interesting to look at it both ways, right? Some say
Ah,
he weakened America's standing in the world, pushed away allies. Others say, no, he was putting America first, fixing decades of bad foreign policy.
so two very different takes.
Totally. And we'll probably be debating that for years.
And then, bam, 2020. Pandemic, social unrest, and a super contentious election. His handling of COVID, downplaying it first, I think it really hurt people's trust in him.
Yeah, COVID changed everything. His response, often going against what the experts were saying, it was criticized a lot.
Rightfully so, I think.
And the economy, all the fallout, it exposed those inequalities, fueled the unrest, and then not one, but two impeachments. Never happened before.
First for abuse of power, obstruction of Congress, all that stuff with Ukraine.
And then inciting insurrection after January 6th. Speaking of which, his refusal to concede the election, all the talk about election fraud, did that lead to what happened on January 6th?
It feels connected, doesn't it?
A lot of the sources suggest his rhetoric, saying election was rigged. It created this atmosphere of distrust, anger, and that led to the violence at the Capitol.
A dark day, for sure. And those repercussions, they didn't stop after he left office. 2024, first U.S. president convicted of a felony.
Falsifying business records, hush money payments.
Wild.
And that was just the start of his legal troubles. Multiple felony indictments, classified documents, trying to mess with the Georgia election.
I mean, it raises some serious questions about accountability, the rule of law. What's the legacy of Donald Trump? It's messy, it's controversial, and I don't think they're easy answers.
His impact, though, undeniable. American politics, society, everything. He changed the Republican Party, showed us just how divided we are, and challenged democracy in ways we're still trying to understand.
He makes people feel strongly, one way or the other. It's hard to believe this is all one man. But before we go, one last thing to think about. Even with everything, Trump still got a lot of power in American politics. What does that tell us about where we are as a country? And where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question. We all need to think about that as we move forward.
We do. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been, well, a lot, but these are the conversations we need to have.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep searching for those nuggets of truth.
And keep listening. We'll be back soon with another deep dive.